Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Where I Went Wrong. And in this edition of Where I Went Wrong, I'll be doing Where I Went Wrong, UFC 280, um, Oliveira versus Makhachev. Yeah, there's no fight night. This is a UFC pay-per-view card. UFC 280, Oliveira versus Makhachev. And where I went wrong with this one is, where I went 12 fights, 8 of 12, 8 and 4. So pretty solid card. It really was like it started off very well. Was looking very good. I think I was at like 80%, like 8 and 10 going into like, pretty deep into the card. And then in the main, like, cause the prelims, I only had one L. I was like, what, 6, 7 and 1. Like, I'm not in this, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I was like 6, 7 and 1 or something off for the prelims, only one L. Then on the main card, I went 2 and 3. So two different sides to the coin, but all in all, still solid card, even though the main event was, I mean, not the main event, but the main card went not the best. Went below 500 on the main card, but nonetheless. But yeah, let's start with the first sale. What was the first sale? I think it was Abubakar Nurmagomedov versus Gassi Omar Gassiev, and I went with Gassi Omar Gassiev because this don't really have the highest confidence in Abubakar Nurmagomedov, but I would have to say in the last two fights he had shown good improvement. But even in this fight, all that I could say, like, he looked good or better than I expected him to look. You got to get some notes. I feel like Omar Gassiev made some mistakes out there. He was too comfortable giving up, trying to jump for submissions in a battle between two wrestlers. You jumping for submission, and especially when you know yourself. Also, that's a guy like probably did Sambo as well. That's another guy who in like ain't the greatest gap in skill set in any area. And then you're gonna give a position, let him weigh on you. And even when you get the opportunity that you spend a good amount of time, you still jumping for the stuff. You still being too comfortable landing on your back. You still too comfortable rolling for leg locks instead of really like working to wear him down and then stuff like you. There's a whole lot of mistakes. I also think it's probably affected him the first time going down to that weight, even though he probably could make the weight, comfortably enough. It wasn't a super struggle because I feel like he was no big middleweight. He was kind of a small middleweight, so welterweight ain't the craziest cut for him, but still a cut's a cut. And it's gonna be take some time to adapt, and then it's going to making poor mistakes. But nonetheless, on Abubakar Nurmagomedov's side, like he was in full control of the fight because of what he was doing. Like what him himself was setting up, not just in case the guy gave you the fight, but because of what you were doing. Like you were doing some good work, you were looking good on the feet, you were taking advantage of the situation on the grounds, and that's the reality. He look all that great, to be honest. Because I feel like most of the stuff that was given to him was because Omar Gassiev was giving up position. He wasn't really even securing takedowns until maybe later. Early on, couldn't get a takedown. Yeah, really think my performance really wasn't all that great. We got by, but all that's irrelevant. Like, what's the lesson learned in this one? I feel like I already knew the lesson for this one and could have avoided it. And initially, I was leaning him, but again, initially this, initially that. Who did you ultimately lean to? Them. If you change a pick and you had a right pick originally, cool. You had a wrong pick and you changed it prior to the actual fight, cool. But like, whatever you settled on prior to the fight, like that's your L. So I made my switch. It didn't play out. Got an L, but it is what it is. The reason I leaned to Omar Garcia because I saw a dog that can potentially bite. But again, let me say the lesson in this one that's already been out there. Unless the guy is truly proven to be this great stud, and they jumping down, and they probably fighting a guy like a lower level, or a guy that's like not that good, or a guy that stylistically favors for them to beat. Really, most cases, especially right now, they aren't really dropping down and having success. Like they dropping down, taking L's, like after L. I feel like people going up more so are having success for the most part. Whereas guys going down right now, and this hasn't been an era of going down, really doing a whole lot, at least in the UFC. I know across MMA, I know there's probably a lot of different trends around different leagues and different organizations. But as far as in the UFC, as far as the past 5 to 10 years or past 5 years or so, guys going down have not been having the greatest success. Like they've been taking mad L's. In reality, most of the time they retreating down and they just take an L. Like Amy knowing, like look at Dan Hooker and somebody, look at this guy Omar Gassiev and so many more. But nonetheless, I feel like middleweight, welterweight, they weren't too far apart in the skill set. No matter how you look at it, there was no big gap in skill set. No guy was super better than another guy. Did another guy coming off an L and retreating to a low weight class, and like I said, that style ain't that different. And also, Abubakar has been looking better, making improvements, so he should have been the clear pick in that sense, or the better pick. But you're trying to find a dog that can bite sometimes, and that dog just did not bite. Also made some poor, like I said, made a lot of poor decisions out there. Not saying he's dumb or had this or that. It's like he made some poor mistakes, poor decisions, and in a fight tight match like that, poor decisions can easily cause a fight. Especially when you already saw what happened when you made a mistake in the first round. Then you're gonna continue to do mistakes, and that's how the fight gets away from you. But yeah, that was L. Like so, relatively even in skills. Guys like weight class retreat into a low weight class because they trying to find success at a low weight class because they feel like they can this weight class, and it's unless the skill set is evil. I mean, say evil or is even, or the person dropping is lesser, then obviously the guy that's at the weight class already is going to win. Pretty much like 9 times out of 10. You can bet your bottom dollar. That's what the trend is looking like right now. It has been looking like for a good while now. But yeah, and on to the next one. I think the next one was Benil Dariush versus Matus Gamrot. And this one right here, I knew how good Benil Dariush. I really knew how good he is. I just feel like Matus Gamrot was riding some pretty good momentum, and I feel like his cardio and his pace could be a problem for anyone. I never got behind the whole trend of like, oh, he's a better wrestler. Matus Gamrot, he's a better wrestler. I have not seen anything super impressive from Matus Gamrot on the feet. If anything, his striking is very much forgettable, and I think he dropped one guy like one time, but it's the thing like sometimes people drop people like even some of the pillow hands, all pillow hands be drop people sometimes. Not to say he got pillow hands, but I do not rate him his striking that much at all. If you just rate his striking, I would not say it's UFC caliber. I'd probably say it's like regional level striking. It's his wrestling, his chain wrestling, and his grappling, his cardio. That's what makes him top tier. His striking's okay, but without that, his striking ain't nothing. Dariush, on the other part, his striking's he was out striking Barboza. He was really winning most of that fight. Then Barboza caught him with a flying knee, like a little split second right there. But so Dariush can strike with the very best strikers when he's on point, and I'll strike the very best strikers when he's on point. So Dariush, we already knew his striking was certified. I don't know who was starting the whole trend that Gamrot was the better striker. Like Gamrot's the better striker. Like who? Have you not been watching? Do you even know who Dariush is? Do you know who Gamrot is? Have you ever seen Gamrot strike? His striking looks very much uncomfortable. Very much uncomfortable. But I thought it would be his pace that would cause Dariush problem. Dariush didn't allow, he had his pace that he was going for those takedowns and stuff. But Dariush, for the moments is a beat, he fought him kind of like a. Well, let me see what the levels to. Like how he kind of approached him. Like he didn't master his pace. He didn't go out there going for 1,000 takedowns. He didn't go out there scrambling and stuff. Like he rolled with him. He stuffed the takedowns in a situation where the grappling he rolled with. He flowed. He approached his grappling, his wrestling more wrestling heavy chain wrestling grappling with flow. Like he was in exert himself as much. And then in striking exchange, he clearly showed what everyone was pretty obvious. He was the better striker. I just thought that pace would wear Dariush down. I know when Dariush gets tired, he starts to get sloppy on the feet, but he stayed sharp throughout the whole fight. He didn't start getting sloppy like he kind of did in I think his prior fight, his very last name eluded me, Diego Ferreira fight. Yeah, he didn't get tired of the fight. He stayed sharp the whole time, and that's approach, I guess. So Dariush, I guess, he shows we're going to a good wrestler or a good chain wrestler at least, and the smaller one at that. He can just flow with them and then pick his shots on the feet, and you gotta have a little bit more than just chain wrestling and wrestling at this point. Dariush still, and also the age ain't no big difference. I noticed that too. Dariush wasn't super older than him. Dariush 1 year, matter of fact, probably less than a year older than him. So it wasn't Dariush this old veteran who 37 and ticking, and this other guy 30, 29, 31, 32, and he coming in, it's his time. They were very much close in age, and age was not a factor. But yeah, good win for Dariush. I knew he was the overall better fighter, but I did think the pace could be an issue. But he clearly proved me wrong in that case. That I don't need to be out there doing a marathon with him. I'm better than him overall. I'm better than him. He proved that. So good win for Dariush, and a much needed win. This guy, he deserves all the success he's having. He's been in UFC for a long time and just kind of forgotten about, not talked about. But I think for a very, very long time, this guy has very much been at the level of the very best. He might have had some setbacks here and there, which he did, that held his career up. But this man has been very much at this level for a very long time. The ranking just did not show it. He has been at this level for a very long time. Again, the ranking just did not show it. The man has been very good for a very long time. But yeah, on to the next L. We had Piotr Yan versus Sean O'Malley. And I'm not even going to talk much about this one. The fight could have went either way. and as I said in the video, Piotr Jan is not who y'all thinking. He's not this killer berserker that just run through everybody. His record is like solid wins on the record for the most part, but in reality, he probably has one of the weakest resumes of anyone in the bantamweight division. He was champion, but who he beat? He beat an old Aldo, like with a second fight into the weight cut. I mean, second fight into the bantamweight division. Like when he first dropped down and still was adjusting weight class. Even then, I mean, even now, you got the best version of 135 Aldo. I'm not saying you could bring prime Aldo and put him at 130. I'm talking about the best version of Aldo you could have gotten out of his later years or his most recent years at 135. Come in the best weight cut, he would still lose to Piotr Jan. I'm not saying he wouldn't, but yeah, I'm just saying that Piotr Jan don't really have those wins that you think he is. Aldo Sterling is a far greater bantamweight than Piotr Jan. Y'all can say, oh, he won this, he didn't. Nah. Look at Aljamain Sterling's resume. Look at Piotr Jan's resume. Aljamain Sterling blows his resume out the window. You can say the fight was close in this, and it was true. It was close and all that stuff. He probably would have won the first fight. But yeah, I'm just saying Piotr Jan's resume really ain't all that great. Is all I'm trying to say. Good fighter and all that stuff, but he's definitely not as good as people hype him up to be. And against younger fighters who are actually in their prime, he has no finishes over none of those guys. Like he has no finishes over none of those guys. So he wasn't going to stop O'Malley. He's going to give up a round. And then it's going to allow opportunities for either Sean O'Malley to actually steal it or allow the judges to steal it from him. I feel like the judges more so stole it from him. But in reality, the fight was close. And that's like when you kind of like let the fight get a time to let the fight get you know, you got to settle into the fight like Piotr Jan does. You let the fight settle in. You give a round. You let a guy into the fight. And what surprised me most that O'Malley really had his best round like in the third round. You were expecting like for sure Sean O'Malley's best round probably would be the first round, but that was not it. It was the third round, so surprisingly. And also he kind of looked tired in the second round. Then he went in the third round. So it's not like he just got a hand it on the silver plate. He fought hard for that round, and Piotr Jan allowed it. Or, well, at least Sean O'Malley won it. It wasn't like Piotr Jan gave it to him. Sean O'Malley won that third round, or fought hard for that third round, and arguably won it on a lot of cards in a lot of people's mind. But yeah, Piotr Jan gave the opportunity, and that's gonna be an issue for him. Like against these higher level guys, especially in 3-round fights. I feel like 5 rounds, or he like best boxer in MMA, 12 rounds or 10 rounds stuff. That'd be better for him because now you got more rounds to drown the guy. But 3 rounds kind of hard to drown a person. 3 rounds when they young and skillful and not an old person that you could just tip over like Aldo or Uriah Faber. Like we with these young dudes, they're very durable and they could match your pace, match your energy. At least especially for 3 rounds. 10 rounds probably not, but 3 rounds they could definitely get by on you. You give them up around at that as well. But yeah, I feel Piotr Jan won, but really evaluating now, it was definitely not a robbery. Piotr Jan should have won, but who does he have to blame but himself? So he can't keep. He ain't gonna take no he ain't gonna gain nothing by this, like again sulking and saying I should have won the fight. The judges stole it from me, and get on the whole bandwagon. Everybody saying he got us robbed from him. It ain't gonna help him. Like go back to train hard and maybe make adjustments. Maybe you got turned up a little bit harder in that first round. Maybe take a minute, 2 minutes, but don't give up 5 minutes in that slow pace. Like fill them out for a minute, 2 minutes, then start going for the kill. Get started earlier because then you give a whole round. Now you got this 2 rounds to work with, and evaluate yourself in the third round. Where was the energy in the third round? Like you can't allow him to have that in the third round. In major fights, championship fights, really any fight, the third round is the last round the judges see. So you gotta go out there, earn that. You can't let nobody just get that round off you, especially if there's any bit of controversy. You have any bit of struggle out there, which you were. It wasn't the case you were going through the cakewalk, and then the judges probably like, what happened? Like you were getting rocked, you were getting bust up as well. It was a competitive fight. You gotta go out there and steal that third round, finish that round hard. You gotta finish that round dropping him and standing on top of him, just mauling him. So the judges could see that as a 10-8 round or 10-9 round at least. But yeah. No, Jan had no one else to blame but himself. So I felt he won, but it is what it is. That's the nature of the game. And yes, if you know when it goes to decision, and look at yourself. You have not finished no one that's not past their prime. Everyone that's in their prime, you have 0 finishes over them in the UFC. So that's just the harsh reality of it. And again, he's not who y'all think he is until he proves otherwise. And actually stop some guy that's young and in their prime and actually a higher caliber fighter, not just some guy that's on the lower end, but like top 5, top 10. Finish one of those guys. And then that narrative start changing. And also stop giving him that first round and like actually get that engine started a little bit earlier. Don't get to start. Need a whole round to rev up and gather intel. But yeah. Then fourth and final L was Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. And I went with Charles Oliveira. Initially, I went with Islam, and then when he switches, that turned to L. But I ain't too mad about it. I saw value in the dog. I saw value in Charles Oliveira. Saw what he was doing, and I like the stuff he's making his career. But ultimately, I kind of feel like he did go revert back to that choker mode. He kind of reverted back. Ain't gonna say like he quit, but I feel like he could have fought harder. Did he quit? I'm not gonna say that. He's not a quitter, but he could have fought harder. I feel he didn't quit, but he could have fought harder. And Islam Makhachev did exactly what he said he was gonna do ever since the fight was announced, or even before the fight was announced. That if he gets hurt, I'm gonna follow. Other people were scared to follow him out. I'm gonna follow him out. What he do? He hurt him. He followed him out and finished him. I'm not gonna go with the whole narrative that it was such a dominant fight up to that point. Really, it was ultimate reality. It was a standstill fight. Makhachev was like getting like, Oliver had a tight wrist grip on him. He couldn't even really land no elbows. His elbows were like glued to his chest. He couldn't do nothing with his elbows. He was on top of him, but he was doing literally no damage. Probably got off like 4 decent shots with like a lot of like pretty much a whole round on top almost. Matter of fact, Oliveira's knees in the clinch might have did more damage than anything Makhachev did in the first round, to be honest. And then the second round, Oliveira just do a flying knee that really I wouldn't even say that flying knee. He just jumped up in the air. Like there was no way that knee would have landed or did any damage. He literally just jumped up in the air and got caught with a hook. Like this Mortal Kombat, like you jump up in the air and you get caught with a punch in the air, or once you finish doing your little sequence, you land, and you get punched in the face, dropped, and then from there, Makhachev just followed him ground, got the arm triangle, and tapped him out. That's the whole fight. I feel like the fight didn't really play out too much, but you kind of got to drift where it was going, unless maybe those knees start really paying dividends and stuff. Then Oliveira started really turning up, but I feel like the fight would have just been the same thing. It would probably been taken down late on to a decision, if not Oliveira making just a random move that caused him to get caught. But yeah, it is what it is. Good performance by Makhachev. I ain't taking away from him. But definitely, as far as outside of that, prior to that getting dropped, it was no real clear domination. It was a clear winner. Clear leader. But it was like, oh my God, he's getting dominated. He getting beat around. He getting slammed around. He getting hit with 100 punches. Like he's just helpless out there. It was like Oliveira was perfectly composed in his guard. Not a whole lot of damage done, but again, Makhachev was put in the fight where he wanted to put it. Oliveira was fine and comfortable with no danger, but Makhachev was winning. So I say that he was in control, but it was no domination up until that drop, and that's just the flat out truth. But yeah, I guess the thing with this one, like the elder here, and going forward, maybe I don't know what can I really gain from this. I guess yeah, really, we can really say this going forward. This pick Islam Makhachev until you start seeing a guy with some real solid takedown offense and can push a crazy pace and superior striking to Islam Makhachev, or maybe they're a superior wrestler grappler to him. But who knows? But right now, I can't really say nobody's them as far as with this matchup. We know like Islam is the better wrestler. He will be able to dictate where the fight goes, and he has the better wrestling for sure. And his grappling defense is pretty solid. So if he could take Oliveira off the feet for the most part, or just wait his time and hurt Oliveira, it should lean to him. Like he could hurt Oliveira and like get him to the ground, or he will potentially hurt him at times in the fight on the feet. Oliveira is prone to getting tagged. So at worst, it kind of seemed like Makhachev would just grind him to a decision, like hurt him at times, just take him down, lay on him, and neutralize his submissions, and maybe warm him, then tap him out or something. Or again, it would be kind of a case like he get caught and then he get tapped out. So it seemed like all outcomes kind of lean to Makhachev. But at the end of the day, like I said, Oliveira had been showing me something different. So I can't really say like, oh my gosh, I made such a glaring error. Oliveira had been showing, that revisions. But again, the people he had all been fighting have been people that, let me see what I say. Out of all those people, Michael Chandler was the only one that truly for him. The people that he actually beat, the people that he did beat, he's the only one that actually fought him everywhere and wasn't worried about nothing he did. Dustin Poirier was scared, scared, pooping in his pants, basically pissing himself about the grappling with Oliveira. Same was Gaethje, but Michael Chandler, you can say everybody else was scared, but Michael Chandler was not scared or worried about his grappling at all. So he was the exception to the rule. But yeah, those Gaethjes and Poiriers, they definitely were concerned and didn't want to follow to the mat. So, and Makhachev, Unlike the difference he had on um, Chandler was that he fought a smarter fight. Chandler kind of fought like a let's bang bro fight, but Makhachev stayed composed. He posed his will on him. And he never got sloppy, never got away from himself. Stayed calm and composed, waited for the opportunities, and it paid off. It wasn't the case he was trying to go out there and rush a finish, go out there trying to jump submissions on him, or trying to go out there suplex slam him, or go out there swinging big hooks and haymakers. He waited till Oliveira made a mistake, to knock him out, saw his opportunities and takedowns, took him down, and never case of like enforcing and let the fight happen, and he capitalized at every single time he could. So good performance from Makhachev. And going forward, definitely going to can't really say who I could pick against him. I mean, I can't see who I would pick to beat him probably for the next 2-3 years. Maybe some of these guys going to evolve. I mean, there's a lot of talent that's like in his division that's could evolve into somebody that could definitely be a threat to Islam Makhachev, but till we see it, I can't say anyone's going to do that. So good one for Islam Makhachev. Hopefully Charles Oliveira bounced back. He was a good champion, was a exciting fighter, and hopefully comes back. And yeah, also excited to see the continued evolution for Oliveira. So like every time he loses, he comes back new and evolved and more dangerous. Let's see if he comes back even more dangerous. I would love to see that, especially if he makes some changes and adjustments. I could see him posing a good threat for Makhachev. I really wanted to see a much better fight than that. It wasn't very much. It wasn't a good fight or a very good fight. Matter of fact, it wasn't a good fight. I would hope he come back and challenge him for a good fight. Not even for this. Oh, all he's gonna do is lose again. I just want to see a good fight, and I felt he could bring that to him. I wouldn't pick him to win the second fight if they fought again, but I would want to see a better fight at least, and see him, be able to use all his skills and approach it differently. But nonetheless, I'll see the evolution of Makhachev, how he would approach the second fight, but definitely don't want to see it immediately. I want to see Oliveira work his way back to the title, and the man will fight. Like I said, he said he could fight today, tomorrow, as soon as possible, basically. So, and how he ain't lying. Some people say that they'll fight once a year. That man literally will fight, in a little bit of time, go on a 5-10 fight winning streak. So he actually is about it. And if he does that again, he will be back in title shot, back in that same place. If he's about it, he stacks some wins like he can and has done before. The man will be back in the title shot earned and deserved in 2023. So it's also somebody falls out, he could be back there possibly 2022, but really, nah, it's 2023 because I don't think Makhachev's fighting again this year. So 2023 definitely could do that. But this video's been dragging a little bit. I already said my thoughts for this one. Went 8-4, 8 of 12, solid card. Not the best main card, but it's going to take those notes and carry it to the next card and carry it and just try to clean up every single time and take the lessons I can out of each card and get better and only get better. And like I said, then it's on to the next one. Like this, it's never gonna be it's never the end. It's always the next fight, always the next card. So just keep rolling into eternity, I guess. So, again, 8-4, 8 of 12, solid card, and that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.